laundry day, if you're wondering. So you're just getting the base thing today. And I'm going to turn my monitor off so I can look straight at the camera. So, first match of the KC Grand Prix. Alright. So, we're up again. So, we have Jonouchi versus Mask the Rock, or Grandpa Backwards. God, that was so dumb. Just everything about this two-parter is kind of ridiculous and dumb, but it's got a couple of good moments, admittedly. It's just the rest of it is kind of shit. So, where do I even begin? So, we start with some stupid antics with the gang right at the beginning. Including Yugi being awkward, and the gang being like, it's which is funny because in the dub, the people are like, and the gang is like, do we know that guy? And in the sub, it's just like, oh come on, that is like stupidly obvious who that is, right? It's not just Yugi that has figured it out because, duh, right? But so Mokuba does this whole Master of Ceremonies thing, which is way better in the sub. I will acknowledge that because there's a lot less superfluous dialogue, kind of just kind of being white noise in the background, right? And so, he tries to get Yugi to, say some words, say some inspiring words. And then Seto fucking Kaiba shows up and just hijacks the ceremony and delivers a speech all on his own. As I put in my dub notes, Seto Kaiba, master of extra, because Seto Kaiba. Here's the thing, Yugi is not. He's not showmanship worthy. Is kind of how I want to phrase that. What I mean by that is he's not the one that you get up talking. You get to go up and talk about something about a game, right? About a game that's coming out. Like, say, oh, I don't know, maybe a game that he developed, that he created. He's not really somebody who can come up and present his game very well. No, for that you would want somebody like Seto Kaiba. Yugi would create the game, and Seto Kaiba would show it off in all of its glory. That kind of thing. Hey, that is the difference between Yugi and Kaiba, and to be honest with you, I actually like that that's a difference between the two. Yugi is not a charismatic person. Now, Atem, you could argue, is charismatic, and that some of that should rub off on Yugi. But Yugi, I feel, is the kind of person who should grow into his confidence, kind of thing. Which is also why I kind of wish by this point we had more of that confident Yugi. Because in Dark Side of Dimensions, we have that confident Yugi. The one who can put his foot down and tell Kaiba, piss off, I'm dealing with Aigami. I'm dealing with Diva myself. Elf, you know, in the dub, Kaiba even looks at him and is like, of the D side, it literally looks at Yugi and is like, is that a threat? And Yugi's just like, sure, why not? And there's like this, there's this confidence on his face that is just like, yeah, no, okay. Like even Seto Kaiba's just like, okay. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. So then the tournament is broken off into blocks, and we get two things. We get the Doctor Dude going up against Leon. We don't get to see the Leon duel because in a tournament arc, why would we get to see the fights in a tournament arc when that's the whole fucking point of a tournament arc? No, 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 no. Instead, we have to waste an entire half of this episode fucking wasting our time with this nonsense, with the fucking jungle antics on the Amazon cruise attraction instead of actually getting to the actual duel. And to be honest with you, the actual duel between I'm just gonna go ahead and say it between Grandpa and Joey is just okay at best. There's nothing really that engaging or that interesting about it. It's just there. So it's just kind of, it's got a couple of interesting ideas, but otherwise, it's anime exclusive effects. So it's like, ugh. Speaking of Joey, he's treated as a goddamn moron in this. He's treated as a goddamn moron in this uh, because his match is about to start, and then it's like, and he shows up in the freaking Kaiba Dome, fucking carrying food, and it's just like, Jonouchi, come on now. Can we? Okay, seriously, writers, what the fuck do you have against Jonouchi? You know, last arc you were fucking kicking him in the goddamn balls. This arc you're fucking treating him like he's a fucking moron, like more of a moron than in season one. And I mean that sincerely. Like this is the stupidest that Joey has ever been portrayed. Period. Period. Like, no joke. Like, I don't understand what the writers were thinking during this arc because this is not fucking Jonouchi. This is some fucking this is some paint thinner guzzling dipshit who is pretending to be Jonouchi. Now, eventually, our Jonouchi actually comes through, but again, it feels just ridiculous. So then we go through the stupid Amazon run, which is padding, complete with Mokuba, with apparently Mokuba having been 10 seconds away from saying, hey, there's a secret passage that'll get you there on time. Instead of being like, if you don't get there in 10 minutes, you'll be disqualified. Now, come on, there's a secret passage you can take to get there, or let's go. I feel like the 10 minutes thing was was frankly idiotic and unnecessary. You didn't need the fucking 10-minute time limit. Damn it. So then Mokuba admits that Grandpa Moto asked to be let in, and yeah, he was nice enough to let him in. So that was kind of nice. Then Grandpa uses a combo of Mirage of Nightmare and Emergency Provisions. The classic thing. You activate Mirage of Nightmare and you set emergency provisions. Then when Mirage of Nightmare's effect goes off and you draw until you have 4, you activate emergency provisions, gain 1,000 life points, and you don't have to pay the detrimental cost. I like that. It's why some cards will That's why some cards will specify that the effect lingers, even if the card leaves the field. And then that leads us into part 2. This is going to be a stupidly short one, by the way, because I have like nothing to talk about with this episode. Good. Uh, so then Rex and Weevil show up. Uh, Spoilers, they are going to amount to abso-fucking-lutely nothing except a point that I'll be making about music. I'm not even fucking kidding when I say that. So then the gang start. So then Jonouchi, who is taking this duel super serious, effectively starts getting encouraged because the gang kind of learned that the whole reason why Grandpa's even here in this tournament is because he wants to have fun. He found these, he found he completed the set of the ancient cards that he's been using, right? Ancient city, ancient tome, ancient key, ancient gate, ancient dragon, stone giants, the stone golems. He he found this complete set, and he's like a kid. He's got to show it off. Like, look, family, look at what I have found, and isn't this cool? And I kind of unironically like that, if I'm honest. In fact, it's why this episode is not an E rank episode. Why I bumped it up to a D, because I like the idea that this game was supposed to be fun. And I feel like that, and that's why I feel like I almost wish Siegfried was not in this fucking arc. That we were just dealing with a bunch of random duels that were just about fun, just about having fun. There were no giant fucking stakes, which is hilarious because as at the time of this arc's airing, I didn't even talk about this last week, but during this arc's airing in the dub, GX was actually going on at the same time. And GX was very much a slice of life show when it initially started. So, for example, effectively it wasn't until you got to the Shadow Riders that you know that we got out of the slice of life stuff. And I don't even remember how far in the Shadow Riders was. I want to say it was like 30 episodes in or something like that. Right? Yeah, you had some ongoing storylines, such as Chaz leaving and then coming back to Duel Academy and yada yada yada. But what I absolutely loved was there was not really any kind of real tension. It wasn't even really, because here's the funny thing: the idea was one opponent per week kind of a mentality. At absolute most duels, like honest to God, I'm pretty sure there was no individual duel that lasted more than 2 episodes until we got to season 2. I'm pretty sure. Then I think there was at least one that was a 3 or 4 parter, and then season 3 they started having bigger duels. But yeah, no, for the most part, there wasn't really any kind of real high stakes duels until you got pretty deep into season 2. And then for the most part, you just had, individual episodes, right? For example, the very first duel of the series, not a surprise, did only last 1 episode. But then so did the second duel of the series, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and I'm pretty sure the sixth as well. I don't even remember who all they were. I know it was Jaden versus Crowler for episode 1. Then it was Jaden versus Chaz, which had no result because they were breaking the rules. Then there was Jaden versus Alexis, which yeah. Then I think there was one where Bastion was faced. Uh and then I think there was like another one. You know what? I can just look it up. Fuck it, I'll do it live. I've got nothing else to talk about. I might as well just do it live. Hey, why be stingy about this shit? There we go. Okay. Oh, okay. So my bad. It was the first four duels that took 1 episode each. Then you had one that took. Then you had one that was 2 episodes. Then you had one that was. Then you had two more one duel, or three one duel episodes. I'm pretty sure. Then you had another two-parter. Then you had, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six more one-episode duels. Then you had another two-parter, which actually warranted it because of what happened during it. Then another one episode. Then we had one of the two. What I would argue one. Well, no, actually, no. Oh no, I'm wrong. That's another one. So then there was another two-parter. Then two more standalones. Then in what I would argue to be the big two-part duel, and then we started the Shadow Riders arc, which contained a two-parter, harder, technically a three-parter, although that had three duels within that three-parter, one duel per part, then two more then two single episodes, single duel episodes, then a two-parter, harder. Three, four, five, six single duel episodes. In fact, that sixth one I'm pretty sure has like a couple of duels. No full duels in that one. Then you have a two-parter. Then you have a standalone filler episode that is kind of junk, admittedly. Then you have the end of the Shadow Riders arc, which is a two-parter. Then you have another standalone, and then you have the two-part finale, of season 1, for a total of 52 episodes. Notice how only one three-parter order existed in that, and that was them pulling and that was the dub pulling a technically, because when they combined those three episodes, well, it was one Shadow Rider that they were combining into a three-parter. So effectively, it was versus Camula Part 1, right? Part 1 and Crowler, Part 2 who Zane, and Part 3 Jaden, right? And a lot of those were just fun because, again, until you got to like halfway through the season, it was late into the late 20s for the episode count. That's when you finally got the Shadow Riders showing up, which was actually kind of fun in its own regard. Heard. And there was even some serious stuff and character stuff in there while we're on the subject. So then Grandpa Moto starts using Ordeal of a Traveler to trip up Joey, and yada yada yada. And then Joey pulls shenanigans after he gets through Ordeal of a Traveler by paying attention with Sinister Serpent. The with the Ordeal of a Traveler, it's you pick a card in your opponent's hand at random, and you say if that card is a monster, spell, or trap. If you guess correctly, the attack goes through. If you guess incorrectly, the monster that attacked has to return to your hand. So cool. And then Joey does some shenanigans. What he does is he activates Premature Burial twice, and by activating Giant Trunade to return Premature Burial to his hand. And that's how he's got Goblin Attack Force and Guilford the Lightning both on the field to end the battle. I feel like that. I actually asked a friend of mine who went to tournaments, would this actually work? And he confirmed, yeah, no, that would not work in the real card game. So But to be fair, this tournament really isn't really that big of a deal. But I still say that Alligator Sword would have been a better finish. Though I do like Joey and Jonouchi's reflection on how far they've come. So that is kind of cool. Then Mask the Rock reveals, "Sorry, surprise! It's me! It was me all along! Haha, were you all surprised?" And the only one surprised was Jonouchi because we have to treat Joey like a moron in this arc. Oh, this isn't even the worst of it. The worst Joey's going to be treated in this arc. There are some people who actually like Joey's second and final duel of this arc. I've always absolutely fucking despised his second duel. So, I don't know if that one's going to be a rant view or not. Will see. But I do not remember that duel very fondly. In fact, I actually actively fucking hated it back then, but it'll be interesting to see if next week's a rant view, though. I'll say that much. And if you're wondering why, well, next week is Rebecca versus Vivian. Yeah, you can kind of tell how enthusiastic about that I am. But oh well. That's it. That's all I got for this week. Short episode, but of course it's a short episode this week. Like, there's no reason to drag this out. Oh, there's like almost nothing for me to talk about. Hell, the whole reason I padded things out with that stupid let's look up the how many multi-parters are in the first season of GX is because of how little I had to talk about. Like, I might chop out the lack of freaking whatchamacallit, but otherwise, you know. But that's it. That's it for me. And I think my camera's been doing that out of focus shit again. So, apologies for the blurry. I'm just gonna pull the trigger on getting that camcorder next check. Fuck it. But regardless of all of that, that's it for me. Next time, well, next time we're dealing with we have a matchup between two characters I don't give a flying fuck about. So we'll see how that goes next time. Until then, Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. Duel stand by.